Our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Al-Qab, presided yesterday in Algiers over a ceremony to mark the 58th anniversary of the nationalization of mines and the 57th anniversary of the creation of the National Company for Mining Research and Exploitation, SONAREM. UNRWA announced on Thursday evening that it was closing its offices in East Al-Quds after Zionist extremists set fire to open-air areas on the compound, announced the head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. And the Sahrawi people celebrate today, Friday, the 51st anniversary of the creation of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Sagia al-Hamra and Wad al-Dahab Polisario Front. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Sultanate of Oman, Badr bin Hamid bin Hamud Al Busaidi, who presented him with a message from the Sultan of Oman, Haytham bin Tariq. The meeting took place in the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, and the Director of Cabinet of the Office of the President of the Republic, Boualam Boualam. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Sultanate of Oman said in a statement to the press at the end of his meeting with the President of the Republic that his country was seeking greater prosperity in its relations with Algeria in the best interest of both peoples. Saeed Bougazi has more details in this report.
Badr bin Hamid bin Hamud Al Busaidi said that he had the honor of delivering a message from Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to his brother, the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and conveyed to him his greetings and wishes for prosperity and well-being, as well as to the Algerian people, assuring that the Sultanate of Oman aspires to greater development and prosperity in its relations with Algeria in the best interests of both peoples. He also underlined the depth and solidity of these relations in various fields, relations, he said, that we are working to promote within the framework of the joint commission between the two countries and in the context of bilateral consultations.
I
have the honor to carry a written message from the Sultan of Oman, Sultan Haytham, to his brother, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, in which I convey the greetings of the Sultan to him and to the brotherly Algerian people, wishing them development, growth and prosperity. His Excellency also entrusted me with conveying his personal greetings to Sultan Haytham and his sincere wishes to him and to the Omani people. The President emphasized the Omani-Algerian relations and their development in all the fields on which we are working as part of the Joint Commission and the continuous and mutual consultations between the two countries. And we are looking forward for more development and prosperity of these relations for the common and joint benefit of the two peoples.
The Omani minister, who was delighted to be in Algeria, announced that he would be making a forthcoming visit to the country to chair on the Omani side the proceedings of the Joint Commission, as there are many reasons to hope for further development and prosperity in Algerian-Omani relations.
And the Council of the Nation is to take part in the Conference of Women Leaders organized on 11 and 12 May in Doha, Qatar, in support of Palestinian women and children, said a Council press release. Under the theme of real security, the conference, organized by the International Women's Coalition in support of Al-Quds and Palestine, aims to achieve several objectives, namely the support and protection of Palestinian women and children in Gaza and during the current aggression, to raise the level of legal and political awareness towards the Palestinian cause, as well as shedding light on the violations inflicted on women and children in Gaza. The Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union has condemned the Zionist entity's threat to continue terrorism and invade the town of Rafah. They also condemned its call on its inhabitants to leave, rejecting its blatant violations of international law and international humanitarian law. The Union warned against the repercussions and consequences of this barbaric Zionist operation, expressing its categorical rejection of the Zionist entity's continuation of its flagrant violations of international law and international humanitarian law. The Union also called on the international community to intervene to put an end to the genocide and facilitate the delivery of humanitarian humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, underlining that international silence encourages the leaders of the occupation to continue their genocide against the brotherly Palestinian people, whether in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, or elsewhere. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Al-Qab, presided yesterday in Algiers a ceremony to mark the 58th anniversary of the nationalization of mines and the 57th anniversary of the creation of the National Company for Mining Research and Exploitation, SONAREM. The celebrations were held at the Abdel Fattah International Conference Center under the patronage of the Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi, represented at the ceremony by his Director of Cabinet Murad Ben Amr, in the presence of several members of the government. In his opening speech, Mr. Al-Qab stressed the importance of the mining sector in Algeria and the strategy adopted by the state or developed by the state to leverage the mining resources to enhance Algeria's economy. Let's listen to him.
To boost the sector, an important strategy has been implemented consisting of defining the main priorities, foremost of which the review of the legal framework and the broadening of the country's mining bases, as well as the development of a program for mining exploration and the updating of the mapping of mineral resources, in addition to the completion of mega-structuring projects and the promotion of human resources as part of the program set by the government in line with the instructions, commitments and continuous and constant monitoring of the President of the Republic.
And the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Al-Qab, has also been received by the Vice President of the Republic of Turkey, Kadvet Yilmaz, who asked him to convey the fraternal greetings of the President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to his brother, the President of the Republic of Algeria, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, a statement from the ministry said on Thursday. This meeting took place on the sidelines of the 12th session of the Algerian-Turkish Intergovernmental Commission in the presence of the Algerian ambassador to Turkey, according to the same statement. The Secretary General of the Dynamic Movement of Algerians in France, Nasser Khabat, has welcomed the latest measures decided by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, in favor of citizens living abroad, underlining that they reflect his interest in the national community settled abroad. In a statement to APS, Nasser Khabat said that MUDAF, like all members of the community living abroad, enthusiastically welcomes the latest measures announced by the President of the Republic, particularly those relating to the easing of travel conditions for members of this community. Expressing his gratitude for all the measures taken in the interests of this community, the Secretary General of MUDAF noted that these new measures confirm the singular interest shown by the President of the Republic in the members of the national community established abroad. And the President of the National Human Rights Council, Abdelmajid Zalani, has said in Algiers that Algeria will continue its efforts and struggle to enable the Palestinian people to exercise their right to freedom and dignity. Speaking on the sidelines of a consultative meeting on the theme of access to justice, strengthening partnership and coordination between all the parties concerned, organized by the CNDH in coordination with the MENA Office of the International Criminal Reform Organization, Abdelmajid Zalani underlined that Algeria is continuing its fight for the Palestinian cause at the level of the Security Council and the Human Rights Council, with a view to achieving positive results for the Palestinian people who have proved their struggle and resistance in the face of the Zionist occupier who uses the most powerful weapons against civilians. And the United Nations General Assembly is due to vote today on a resolution calling for the recognition of Palestine as a fully fledged member in the same way as other nations of the world, reported the Palestinian news agency WAFA. The vote on the resolution will take place at 10 p.m. or at 10 a.m. New York time and should serve as a global poll on support for Palestinian application or for Palestine's application for a full membership of the international organization. The Palestinian Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, the United Nations, and its specialized agencies, Omar Awadallah, quoted by WAFA, said that Palestine met the conditions for acceptance of membership set out in Article 4 of the United Nations Charter. UNRWA announced on Thursday evening that it was closing its offices in East Al-Quds after Zionist extremists set fire to open-air areas of the compound, announced the head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Zionists set fire twice to the perimeter of the UNRWA headquarters in occupied East Al-Quds, while staff from UNRWA and other UN agencies were present inside, said Philippe Lazzarini, adding that he had taken the decision to close the compound until adequate security is re-established. He denounced a second abhorrent incident in less than a week, which he said had been perpetrated by extremists and in which lives of UN employees were put at risk. And Jordan has condemned the attempt by Zionist settlers to set fire to the headquarters of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, in occupied East Al-Quds, describing this act as a blatant violation of international law and humanitarian law, according to the Palestinian news agency Wafa. The Jordanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs warned that the repeated attacks on UNRWA headquarters constitute a flagrant violation of international law and humanitarian law and a clear defiance of the law stipulating that UN and humanitarian personnel must be protected. The Jordanian diplomacy called UNRWA's vital role in providing aid to Palestinians, particularly in Gaza, and called for an end to the persistent violations of international law by the Zionist entity, calling for the protection of humanitarian workers. And the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia has reported that 360,000 buildings have been partially damaged or completely destroyed in the Gaza Strip as a result of the Zionist aggression that has been underway for more than 7 months now. Saad Bouazi has more details in this report.
In a report published on Wednesday evening, the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, ESCWA, stated that this figure was arrived at on the basis of data from various institutions and organizations on the material damage caused to buildings and infrastructure, including the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, the United Nations Satellite Center UNOSAT, as well as the Graduate Center and the University of Oregon. The report also stated that 2% of the population of the Gaza Strip have been killed, 4% have been injured, while almost all the population has been displaced, stressing that the scale of the damage resulting from attacks in the Gaza Strip since 7th October 2023 is unprecedented. Since 7th October 2023, the Zionist entity has been waging a devastating aggression in the Gaza Strip, which has caused tens of thousands of civilian victims, mostly children and women, in addition to an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe and massive destruction of infrastructure.
And the Sahrawi people celebrate today, Friday, the 51st anniversary of the creation of the Popular Front of the Liberation of Sagi al-Hamra and Wad al-Dahab, or Polisario Front, in a context marked by unprecedented international and regional changes, which have led to greater popular support for the objectives and ideals of the front, which has made a number of achievements on the ground as part of the establishment of a liberation project that has breathed new life into the Sahrawi question and at all levels. Saad Bouazi has more.
After decades of peaceful resistance repeatedly repressed by the Spanish colonial authorities, and in the context of the United Nations recognition of the legitimacy of their struggle for self-determination and freedom, the Sahrawi people have become aware of the imperative need to intensify their fight within the framework of the national liberation movement and to opt for the armed struggle for liberation. On 10th May 1973, the Polisario Front was created as the sole legitimate representative of the Sahrawi people. As soon as it was created, the Polisario Front marked a turning point in the history of the Sahrawi people's struggle by deciding on 20th May 1973 to launch an armed struggle to assert the people's attachment to their just cause and herald a break with the period of colonial domination, thus setting itself up as a model of struggle among liberation movements around the world aspiring to free themselves from the colonial yoke. The advisor to the Sahrawi President Bashir Mustafa Sayyid told APS that the anniversary of the creation of the front comes 51 years after a continuous struggle on all fronts in which the pain of the Sahrawis has mingled with their hopes, determined to forge ahead to wrest their independence. For Bashir Mustafa Sayyid, this anniversary anniversary is an important milestone in the struggle stemming from the unshakable conviction that sacrifices must be made to liberate the country and realize the Sahrawi people's dream of building an independent and sovereign state and completing the process of decolonization in Africa.
That's the end of the news bulletin. Time now for a weekly program with my colleague Jamal Silmani. As for me, we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you.